No, thank you very much. And a little bit about my background. I love Martha. She had, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell on you. She had her phone. She had my introduction on her phone. Her phone died. So she asked that I give a little bit of my background. I was Air Force. I started Air Force enlisted. Then they thought I was barely smart enough to go to college, so they sent me to UVA. At that point, I got a degree in Foreign Affairs Eastern Europe and actually studied the former Yugoslavia. So 10 months after that, I was an Air Force intelligence officer. Really, we were trying to stop ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. So I went from being enlisted, going to university, and 10 months later, I was on the Romanian-Serbian border. Next year, I was in Oman in the Middle East, doing things with the Omanis there. When 9/11 happened, we mission planned the first bombing runs to Afghanistan after 9/11. So my background was pretty extensive in the military for about an 11-year stretch. After that, I went into the National Security Agency and was able to do some incredible things in fighting bad people. Really, that's about all I can say about that. As far as being around the world and why I think it's so important, and Martha, just thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's humbling, very humbling, is that if you've been to Israel a few times like I have, starting in 95, 96 with the bus bombings, all the way to I just came back in December to another Israel trip. If you've been in Romania where you see the Romas, where the Roma being persecuted and awful things that you saw on a daily basis there, or if you're trying to stop ethnic cleansing in Kosovo, or you're in the Middle East seeing what's happening to Christians in certain areas there, as you travel around the world, you realize you don't have the liberty and the religious freedom that you have here in the United States. Listen, you're exactly right. It's amazing that 140 countries showed up to the prayer breakfast this morning. And then when you look around, you see the power, right, of that kind of get-together and that gathering and those people of faith that were there. And you actually got some goosebumps at certain times, during that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, I don't think it's news to anyone in this room that the persecution of Christians in the Middle East is a very real and very pressing issue. It is rarely covered by the media. And it's often lost in debates about the Middle East. And the plight of God-fearing Christians is close to my heart. Trust me, when your grandparents are Southern Baptist, you have God-fearing Christians in your family. So, but that is why I made it a priority to be here with you. Like I said, my background is Air Force intelligence. I would love to have it, and I'm sure it might bore you all, but 30 minutes to tell you the things that I've done, looking at religious groups and minorities that have been persecuted around the world, and to see that firsthand wearing the uniform in the military. At some point, I would love to have that discussion with you, but I know there's so many people that want to speak, but I can talk to this, is that we cannot forget that real people's lives are affected. We're talking about Christians, and we can't forget that the Middle East isn't just a geopolitical risk board. There's real people here. And Dr. Benjamin was talking about something about people and putting names to people that we talked about today, and the president. He said a lot of these people suffer alone, and nobody puts a name to the faces of those that suffer. And I'm here to say I think we need to pay attention. I think we need to pay attention as Americans, and because religious liberty is really the foundation of the United States. If you think about many of the things, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, right, all the things that we take for granted, our religious and civil liberties, they are not around the world, and trust me, I know. I was also appalled to learn about the plight of Marsha Lazareva, and who we will speak about today. I didn't know any of this. You think about, you're in Congress, you're moving forward so fast on other issues. Sometimes you have to be educated about what's going on right in front of you, and that's what I said. You got to pay attention because you can't get caught up in everyday lives. I mean, it's great to watch the Super Bowl. Things are great, but there's also, we need to realize that there's people out there who will never have a chance to do things like that or never have the chance to express the love that they have in their hearts or to be with family. And I got to tell you, there are days when you think about that, especially now that I'm a congressman, that it really affects you in an emotional way. So we did something. We put in a resolution called House Resolution 49, and it urges the Egyptian government to enact serious and legitimate reforms to ensure that Coptic Christians have the same rights and opportunities as other Egyptian citizens, and to take steps to end the culture of impunity for attacks on Christians. It's happening. Sometimes in life you go back and forth, and sometimes you forget where you come from. Being 11 years in the military, being raised Christian, Sometimes you lose your way. You know you're doing the right thing, but you forget what's important. And what's important is that we live for something greater than ourselves in the United States of America. I had somebody tell me once, they said, you know what makes us different? And I've been to other countries. Even in that culture, it seems at times that there's not this realization that it doesn't matter about you specifically, but it's the service that you give to others, right, and the love that you give to others. And I think a lot of times, and we heard this today at the prayer breakfast, the hatred turns to contempt, right? And that contempt of Christians or other religions from people who abuse them, abuse their power, right, and don't allow them to practice their faith. And not only that, take it another step further by hurting them, right, imprisoning them. I'm using very simple language because I think people try to cover up what really happens with language, right? That it's very, very evil what happens to these people. And I implore all of you to keep doing what you're doing. I'm here to serve you, not the other way around. You are here of your own free volition, right? You're here because you care. You came into D.C. because you care. I'm a congressman who got invited by an amazing human being to come over here, and I did it because I serve you, but I also know that all of you love the people out there that today are in danger and being persecuted. I will continue to speak out on behalf of the suffering Christians in the Middle East, and I thank everyone in this room for the efforts you continue to make to help. Your help is invaluable. And to be here with Director Free, to be here with Ms. King, to be here with you, to be here with Martha, everybody that's here. And if I knew all your names, I would mention them, but I don't have a list in front of me. But if I'll get it next time. I promise I'll mention everybody. But the fact is, thank you for the love that you give to others. Thank you for the sacrifice. I stand with Christians around the world, and I pray for the safety of those in harm's way. Amen, and thank you.